These are the rules for the Super Sim Challenge in The Sims 4. I'm doing an LP, so I thought, what the heck, I'll tell everyone what I'm doing. What are the rules of the Super Sim Challenge? There are different iterations of this, but this is the one I came up with. The rules are really simple. Max out all skills, complete all aspirations, get all the traits. Those are still the core rules of the challenge, but it's a little more complicated than that. If you cannot do this before your sim dies, you lose. Game over. You cannot bring your sim back to life. You have to start with a different sim. With your child, you have to start with their child. Do it for as many different generations as this takes. If it takes 1 generation or 5 generations, that's totally up to you. Anyway, all you have to do is keep your sim alive long enough to do it, which should be simple enough, right? Okay, so starting out, it's really important that you start out correctly, otherwise the challenge is going to be impossible. I heavily recommend that you do not make a young adult sim for this challenge. In fact, if at all possible, I highly recommend that you either have a sim be born from a legacy family or a family you play with that you like. Or you're going to create a sim, create your sim's parents, and then play with genetics to create your super sim as a toddler. Greatness starts in childhood. At this point, you will have to choose whether your sim can be a supernatural sim. Your sim cannot start out as a supernatural sim unless they are a mermaid. This is the only supernatural state allowed. They're not allowed to be aliens or vampires or spellcasters, nothing like that to start with. Let's talk about your goals. Your first goal is to max out all skills. This is the most important goal. If you can fulfill this, you've completed the challenge. The rest are stretch goals. You can do them, but you don't have to. These do have an order of priority from most important to least important. The most important, stretch goal number 1, do all aspirations. Stretch goal number 2, gain all traits. Stretch goal number 3, max out all careers. Let's get into the rules. This is the most important rule. You cannot make your sim immortal, and you cannot turn aging off. You can turn aging to normal if you want more of a challenge, or you can, have it long if you want to do it a little bit more casually. You are not allowed to use any motive cheats. You are not allowed to use any mods that might have changed gameplay. You are not allowed to do any cheats that gain you money. Cheats for building or because your game is crashing or something like that, those are totally okay. You're not allowed to rage quit. No matter how much you want to, you are not allowed to rage quit. Every time that you play, you have to save before you quit. Every time. No saves coming. If you can, you should try to keep your sim in the same save game as you started with. You can't move your sim to a different save game if it's crashing or if it's giving you trouble, but I heavily recommend that you keep your sim in a safe base game because you're going to be able to have achievements that you wouldn't have otherwise. Your sim should complete at least 1 child aspiration if you do not start them from young adult. You can and should buy rewards from the reward store. You are able to change aspiration whenever you want. You can only change lot traits twice while your sim is living in a particular lot. That includes move-in. So if you move into a lot and it doesn't have any traits, you can change that twice. But if you move into a lot and it has traits already, you can only change that 1 time. You are able to play other families in the same save game while leaving story progression on if you need a break, but the clock is ticking. You can sell anything from your inventory and you can make money in any way, whether that's traditional or non-traditional. It's up to you. You can have your sim living on a tiny lot, but you can only do so if your sim lives with at least 1 other sim, ideally the same age as them. So, for instance, if you have a young adult sim, they must live with another young adult. If you have a young adult sim and they live with their child, that doesn't necessarily count. That one's up to you. Your sim, if you're doing any of the stretch goals, is going to become a supernatural sim eventually. So leave that to the very end if possible, especially if you're doing the aspiration parts of the challenge. If you want to make it extra challenging for yourself, use random traits. You don't have to. Here are some more rules if you have other packs. If you have Parenthood, your child sim or your teenage sim must have at least 1 of the Parenthood traits before they age up to young adult. And it can be a positive or a negative character trait, whatever you want. It's a super sim, so it makes more sense that it's positive, but it's your life. Your sim should have at least 1 university degree before the end of their life. At least 1. Your sim should become famous, even if they are not a superstar. Your sim should have completed scouts when they were teenagers. Packs and mods needed for gameplay. Okay, you don't need any packs, you don't need any mods. These just make the experience better in my opinion. So here are a few that I like to play with. Parenthood is really good because it makes the generational play much more fun. Get to work and university make it much more challenging. Though like I said, not needed at all. You don't need any mods for gameplay, though I recommend that you install MCC, which I will put down in the description, and enable story progression so that the world keeps popping off around your sim, which makes it much more fun. And any mods that majorly change gameplay, including more personality or changing the emotion system, those are not allowed while you're doing this challenge. That's it. Let me know if you like this. I would love to see your Super Sim challenges. I want to watch some LPs. I want to read your symbolers. I want to see your Simstagrams, all sorts. So just leave it in the comments and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Bye!